Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. We are retired New York City police detectives and 9/11 first responders, World Trade Center first responders. My guest, who's co-hosting with me here today, she also is a first responder from 9/11, a retired NYPD sergeant. Hey, I want to come live today because I am pissed off. I'm mad as hell. 54 days, amazing amp, and not even a peep from the media. Robert Brooks was murdered at Marcy Correctional on December 9th. They said he was dead on the 10th. I believe they killed him in that infirmary on December 9th, 2024. And here we are, February 1st, 2025. And there's not even an inkling of anybody being arrested. I got to get your thoughts really quick before we go into it. But before we do that, amazing Ant, we got to say thank you to our Patreon supporters, the channel members, the moderators. The mod squad are some of the greatest.
Yes.
Our public subscribers and people who send us cups of coffee, and all of the people who
Popeye said thank you.
Yes, positively engaged down in the comments section. We love you. We appreciate you. We're here because we want justice. Justice for Robert Brooks and his family, his surviving family, his son, his one and only brother, and his father. We want to get justice for the extended family, the community. He grew up in Greece, New York, and everybody is... It's a ticking time bomb, as we heard from inmates inside Marcy Correctional. So, amazing, Ann, I want to go to you for your thoughts. 54 days, not even a single acknowledgement from Tish James, the District Attorney Fitzpatrick in Onondaga County. Not anything. It's crickets. Let's go.
2 days ago, I was at an appointment. I mentioned Mr. Brooks. Someone told me, oh, I didn't hear about that. It wasn't on the news. I said, of course it wasn't on the news. And when I showed them the video and showed DutyRon, they were mortified, became a subscriber, and she got all the news here because the media is ignoring it. I don't like assumptions, but I'm going to sum it up in one word: politics. I am assuming, and from my observation, there's a lot of political themes going on here with everyone who's been involved, from the AG to the governor, backpedaling this and sending it to the local DA with no response. There has to be something deeper, and I'm calling corruption.
You know, there's no good reason why. And look, we know about the unions and about that 30-day rule and all of that. This has all been way expired. Those 30-day rules of you know, the unions and all kinds of collective bargaining and all that shit. But you know what's really frustrating is that the local news isn't picking it up. They're not talking about it. You know, we send prayers to the victims of these two horrific plane accidents that happened in DC and last night out in Philadelphia. Our hearts break for them, and they're getting, the news is reporting on that breaking news. But in the meantime, Robert Brooks, his body was lifeless inside that infirmary on video. That's what's really effed up about this, is that on video, and YouTube suppresses when I go live about it. Look, we only have about 200-300 people here. I get demonetized, and you know what? It's like they're trying to put duct tape on everybody's mouth that wants to talk about it. But what I say to YouTube, to the people that are trying to suppress this story, F you.
Why are they suppressing it, or why do you think?
They say it's, you know, not friendly for their advertisers to hear about this, that it's graphic in nature. If we show the video, which I've done 2 or 3 times, we show that video of them beating him mercilessly for 20 some odd minutes, 21 minutes or whatever it was, they will immediately put the, you know, sensitive content on there. You have to be signed in to watch it. It's just for me, it makes me want to do it more and more. So you know, this is the sickening part of it, is that we have an African American beaten by 14 or 18 white correction officers.
I think it was 16, right?
16, 18, there's just the numbers. But what we saw on video, regardless of the numbers, is clear and evident If that was you or I inside a store or at somebody's home or inside any kind of place, public or whatever, if it was one of us, there would be a squad of cops outside looking to drag us to jail. And that's what's crazy about it.
Well, it wouldn't be us, but yes, if it was, it wouldn't be us, right?
Yeah, so that's the sickening part of this thing, Amazing Ann.
Mm-hmm.
And we have, I showed on many other occasions, I think 2 or 3 other occasions, we had Long Island Audit, Sean Paul Reyes.
Yes.
He is one of the only ones on YouTube besides myself that's covering this strongly. And this guy, this is what he does for a living. He's on YouTube. This is his livelihood. But he drove 5 to 6 hours up to Marcy Correctional. He got in the faces of the correctional officers. He asked them kindly and respectfully, do you denounce the murder of Robert Brooks? And none of them would answer him. And you and I kind of get why they're kind of constrained to.
Right.
I said to you, if they were out in a social event, if they were talking one-on-one outside of having the uniform on, they could probably speak on it freely. But when you're wearing the uniform, the job, they limit you on what you could say. But even so, we heard a state trooper, right? We heard the sergeant. He, in a roundabout way, says, I do not condone that. I think those are the words that he used.
Yes.
And he didn't, he didn't sidestep it. But Sean went back to Mohawk Correctional, and he did the same thing, because Mohawk is where Robert Brooks was housed. And at 9 o'clock at night, 9:20, he was transferred. And there's all kinds of speculation, because that's all we're left with is speculation. People telling us he had a fight with inmates. He was doing this.
But it doesn't matter, because it's still homicide and it's still a violation of civil rights. And back to Sean. Sean was known to the NYPD to film in precincts. As you reminded me, he did sue and he won. So he's the only person in the entire New York City area that's allowed to film in a precinct, even though there's no recording to protect victims, protect offenders. However, I'm going to say this. I recently heard the new administration and government said that they're going to allow podcasters into the White House briefings. And this has nothing to do with politics, but everything to do with the 21st century and the direction we're going. Right. Sean Paul is the new media. And so are you, DutyRon, that people are looking to for the facts, and the government knows it, because now they're allowing them to come into these briefings, because they know that people are going to podcast to get the facts, because the media has been tainted.
Here's the problem. Okay, so we can speak freely because there's no producers, there's no people behind us saying, oh, that's not, you have to be politically correct. You can't say this, you can't say that. We could say whatever. But when you look at big social media like TikTok, YouTube, Google, Facebook, if they get word that you're doing things that they don't want to get out, there's ways that they can suppress. Look, we have 457,000 subscribers and there's only 250 people watching this. So that's a way that the media and the giants who run these things say, there's certain things that we don't want people to hear about. And for this, it's clear and evident that Robert Brooks is a conversation that the media and the powers that be do not want to get out there.
And so, why is that?
I mean,
well, that's what we're going to get to the bottom of. You, me, Sean, Ed Wallace, ourselves. Why is that? Because you're all truth tellers, and truth is controversial to people who lie. They don't want to be exposed. And Mr. Brooks and everything that happened was already exposed via camera, via body camera. Thank God for the body cameras. That's the time I'm going to say it's defending them. And your group here is supporting the truth telling. And we could not do this without your subscribers.
Absolutely, 100%. And yes, Janelle Woodward says, President Trump signed the Laken-Riley Act into law.
Chills.
Yeah, I got the chills. And Rachel Morin's parents were there. The young girl from Texas, Nigwin.
Yes.
Her mother, who's a young girl herself, was at the White House, and it was I got the chills watching that. So for those of you in the chat, how many of you have seen the video of Sean Paul Reyes when he went to Mohawk Correctional? Put a 1 in the chat if you've seen it. Put a 2 in the chat if you haven't seen it. YouTube actually made him take down the video because he played the beating of Robert Brooks. YouTube told him that it was It was too much and too graphic. So when he re-uploaded that video, he had to blur out all of the images of these savage former correction. I don't even like to call them correctional officers.
No.
Former correctional officers. He had to blur out them doing their deed of that's the murder of Robert Brooks. And so that's a censorship. That's a form of censorship. That's not fair. It doesn't give the American people and people outside of the New York metro area a full view of this. And they're trying to not. Nobody's talking about it. None of the news. It's not on nightly news. You don't hear David Muir and all these people talking about it. No, but it got a one and done. It happened when Letitia James, I want to try to get that date. I think it was the 27th of December.
December
27th or December 28th. She puts out those 4 videos of the body cam, and she came off strong. She came out of the gate like a ball of fire, and like we were going to see some collars. We were going to see some of these people locked up, but she just spun her wheels and just. I mean, for me, she's the highest authority as it pertains to law in the state of New York. She let down Robert Brooks's family, Robert Brooks, first and foremost, his family, and the whole entire community upstate in Oneida County. That is a disgrace, what happened up there.
And the justice system, excuse me, DutyRon, the law, her being the attorney general, the chief lawyer of all New York State, she is held to a high standard to uphold the law. And this is why we have the Constitution, regardless of what people believe, regardless of political background. We have the law, the Bill of Rights, civil rights to avoid these political interferences.
Right. And it just makes me so damn mad because, again, if the shoe was on the other foot, you know, I feel like if it was happened down here and would not be able to be swept under the rug because it's upstate. You got people, listen, I get emails all the time. I get emails from people that don't agree with how harshly I'm talking about this.
Wait till today with me.
Yeah, I mean, I just say to myself, the people who can justify the actions of those corrections officers or try to stick up for them or try to divert attention by saying things about Robert Brooks are the problem. Those are the people who are the problem. And for people to try to deflect from something that we clearly saw with our own eyes, not on a picture, we saw a moving video of this man's life being beaten out of him by
in an infirmary.
By at least 4 that were participating and 2 sergeants who stood and watched and a whole bunch of other COs that stood and watched. Remember that sergeant was tapped by one of the COs?
Move away by his cop? Officer?
Yeah, by one of the officers. It's despicable. A lot of people have seen Long Island Audit. I have his video linked in the description.
Okay.
What I want to play here, and it's just a small clip. I'm not going to play all of it. What I want to play about Sean is that he got dismissed by 1 female sergeant, another male sergeant, and then a 3rd male sergeant, and then a lieutenant, and then the actual superintendent. We went right up the ranks. All the head honchos dismissed him, and now we're going to hear the superintendent dismiss him. But I want you guys to hang around to the end of this because former correction officer Anthony Farina, the disgusting monster who was kicking and assaulting Robert Brooks, kick him in the groin, kick him in the stomach. He was on the left side of the infirmary where the sergeant was standing there just watching, and he was assaulting Robert Brooks viciously during the whole time. Sean Reyes went to this guy's block and just sat on the block with his car. He wasn't sure where his house was, according to the video. Anthony Farina himself and his adult son comes out and confronts Sean and asks him, "Can I help you?" And I want you to listen closely because Sean does not at any time disrespect any of them. But at one point, the son says and turns around, and I'll play it slowly. Sean says to him, "Your father is on video murdering Robert Brooks. Have anything to say about that?" And the kid turns around. He's an adult. I call him a kid.
Yeah, he's a son.
Turned around and he goes, "He didn't. No, he didn't. He didn't kill him. It happened at Mohawk Correctional." This is what he says. He got beat up at Mohawk, he tells this guy.
Wow.
So let's listen to this. If you've heard this, put a 1 in the chat. If you heard and seen this video, put a 1. I know I did it already. If you haven't, put a 2, because there was a lot of 2s. A lot of people that are watching.
Me, DutyRon. No one knows up there who Sean is, right? The superintendent, the sergeant. I just found out, and
It's a
I'm with you.
5-hour ride. It's a 5 or 6 hour
Okay.
ride.
All right. So no one knows who he is. Okay.
The state trooper said that he knew him. Look at all the number 1s. A lot of number 1s.
I'm a number 2.
Yeah, this is number 2. Mac Randall hasn't seen it. Demetria. A lot of people haven't seen it. Wow, I'm actually surprised. I did it like about 3 minutes before this, and there was a lot of more number 1s, but I'm seeing a lot of number 2s. So people are going to be seeing this. Angela S. And guys, the reason I've been absent all week is I've been feeling sick. I haven't gotten a cold or anything like that, but I just not been feeling good. So I'm from the cancer treatment that I've received in the past. The radiation is just making me fatigued. So I run out of gas really quick. So I want to get to this. Let's play this video. Again, this is Sean talking in the lobby. This is a publicly accessible lobby at Mohawk Correctional. Up here, you can see it says Mohawk Correctional Facility, and it's the superintendent, Montgomery, is who comes out. Montgomery, I think I might not be saying it right. But let's listen. Sean is just...
And this is Mohawk, not Marcy, where he was attacked.
This is Mohawk, where he was transferred. He did a Marcy video, and now he's at Mohawk. Let's listen into Sean from Long Island Audit. And no matter what you think of him, I am proud of what he did here.
Yes.
I am proud that he went and questioned the authorities at Marcy, and here he is at Mohawk. He's got a lot of balls. He's got more balls than anybody else. I listen to Flossie Carter, who has 2-point-something million subscribers. He's a Samsung guy who is like the word of Samsung. Flossie Carter used to be an EMT in Queens. I watched Flossie Carter tell Sean, because they're friends.
Right.
Sean always goes back again with another video. That's like Sean's. That's like Flossie Carter's thing. I listen to Flossie Carter, who's a big dude. He's like, Sean, you got bigger balls than me, because I'd be scared like shit to go and do what you did. I'm glad you're doing it.
I wish we went up there with him.
Yeah. So here we go.
Go.
That would happen for you or I if there was video footage of a group of regular citizens, not public servants, brutally murdering a police officer while his hands were cuffed behind his back. Do you think that we'd be able to spend Christmas with our family, to spend New Year's with our family, to be free for almost a month, over a month? Do you think that would happen? Let me know in the comment section below. Do you really think that that would happen? No, we'd be immediately charged. We'd be paraded in front of the world as terrorists. And I'm tired of it. I'm standing up to our government. I will stand up any chance I get. You know, they're going to try and arrest me. They want me arrested, not the murderers, not the brutal, cowardly murderers. They want me, an independent journalist, arrested. What type of bonkers, backwards world do we live in?
How you doing?
Hey, sir, how are you?
Good. Superintendent Montgomery. Would you be cool with identifying yourself to us?
Well, I have no problem doing that. I mean, you could identify.
Amazing ant. You heard him identify himself, the superintendent. It was that guy, Montgomery or whatever. He said it right away. So this is the new superintendent.
He brought him out.
The old superintendent, as we know, got booted. So this is the new superintendent. That sergeant read the sheet that he has here is a statement that he's going to read to him. Sean has been read this statement already 5 times, 4 or 5 times. It's ridiculous.
They were ready for him, but it was already bad, the superintendent coming out, because we don't have the CO, the commanding officer of a precinct, come out first. It's usually myself. The cop comes to the sergeant goes to the lieutenant. Honestly, I don't even go to the lieutenant. We handle it right there.
Right.
Right.
All right, just talk to me. What's your name about?
My name is Sergeant Steve Farr. How you doing today?
Yeah, my name is Sean. I'm an independent journalist. Again, I'm just here to ask some questions, exercise the statutory right. I don't know if you're familiar with the New York State Right to Monitor Act. It encompasses correctional officers, law enforcement officers. There's no exception for correctional facilities. I'm sure, as unfortunate that may be for you guys. I'm here to ask questions about Robert Brooks. From my investigation, from the news reports, he was housed here, correct?
So I can't answer any questions.
Right.
Right. I mean, you don't.
So I just can't.
Everything is going to be directed to Albany and in the Department of Relations.
But do you condemn the egregious murder of Robert
We
Brooks?
can't speak on it.
You can't condemn an egregious murder that's on recording, Superintendent?
I just don't.
We can't speak on any.
Not one bit. I just can't.
It's such an egregious. You guys should be protesting right along with me for their arrest.
But
why?
Help you with something though, or you just?
So just give me a second.
I'm sorry, ma'am. How long have you been the superintendent?
See, can you see?
Yes.
I'm asking the audience how polite this guy. Excuse me, ma'am, sir. Thank you. He's never using expletives. He is not. Sean goes at this in the most respectful way. He's doing things that everybody else is scared to do because he knows that he's within the letter of the law and what he's doing. So I give him praise for this. I mean, again, I haven't seen all of his work, but I am highlighting this because this to me is a kudos because he's putting it in the faces of the higher ups. That guy runs this facility. He didn't get the superintendent at Marcy. He got a lieutenant. Yeah. That was the highest rank he got, was a sergeant and a lieutenant. But here he got the freaking superintendent because he probably went Monday through Friday during the day, or maybe he just got lucky on a Saturday. But most superintendents aren't in on the weekends, and you know that. So.
Yeah.
Acting superintendent.
Sorry, ma'am.
12 to 21, and then the superintendent unable to.
So Robert Brooks was housed here, correct?
I'm not going to answer any questions. I really wish I could. I just can't. In my capacity.
Is there a beatdown squad here?
I'm not going to answer anything that you're going to.
Is it called George? Is it, sources have told me that it's called George Floyding somebody, what they did to Robert Brooks. Are you familiar with that term?
You being here, I understand that there's laws about videotaping the peace officers and their duties.
Right.
We also have rules here about permission to video here, permission or the superintendent.
Don't forget, folks, this is 13 minutes in, 13 minutes and 25 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go back. Here's a white shirt sergeant that was talking to him and reading that same thing. Here's another person, a correctional officer, a guy who looks like he's on time on the job. There's a female sergeant who blew him off. And then here is another group. So again, he's been here for 13 minutes. This is an uploaded video, so it's probably edited. He may have been here for 30 minutes at that point, but here we are. What did I say? 13:25? Yeah. Okay. 13:25. He gets to the big kahuna.
Permission to video here by the commissioner or the superintendent, and that's not being given right now. It's like, do you have a legitimate purpose to visit someone here?
Well, my purpose is to exercise that right that was granted to me from the New York State Right to Monitor Act. Again, I've been very clear about reading the law, and there's no exceptions for being on correctional facilities.
We do have additional rules, though, that the videotaping would have to be approved by the commissioner or by the superintendent, which we have to give.
But if that's the way the state, with all due respect, superintendent, if that's the way the state legislator wanted it to be, they would have said you must comply with all rules from the superintendent or the police or the correctional facility commissioner.
Like our reading has to be.
Right. And again, I'm just going off my understanding of the law that I read. I understand you have your policies, and I'm not here to antagonize any. I'm here to get some, this happened in early December, the murder of Robert Brooks.
I understand 100%.
This is now the end of January. If I were to, if something would happen to you like that, if I took your handcuffs, put them on you, and viciously beat you, shoved things down your throat, choked you, all on camera, do you think I'd be free for the holidays? I don't think so. I don't think I would be. So this is an injustice. I'm here as a journalist, exercising my constitutional and statutory rights.
Just that you're in our lobby videotaping.
Right.
You've been given direction that you can't really do that right now.
I understand that. I understand that your policy states that, Superintendent.
Right.
I understand that.
Listen, everything's fine.
Again,
we did call the state police because that's another part of
your policy, your procedure.
So they'll be coming here to talk to you.
I understand. I hope they do the right thing. As you probably know, I was filming over at Marcy, and I was trying to ask them some questions too. Again, I'm trying to get some names signed on a petition.
You gotta understand. We just can't answer anything.
But why? But why would that be? Why would it be wrong for you to say I condemn the vicious, brutal beating of and murder of a man? What's so wrong about that?
No comments on anything at all. I just can't. I'm here because.
Hey, Amazing Ant, could you help the audience understand why these guys are not able to comment while they're in their official capacity?
Well, because yes, they're in uniform, official capacity, and everything has to get cleared through their central media office. Okay, so this is a press, it's well-known story, but it's a press event. There's no arrest. There's legal litigation pending, I hope. But officers, hopefully, right? We have to be apolitical and impartial at all times in uniform, and even off-duty behavior unbecoming. So there's also always a professional standard. I have to address the Right to Know Act. When I was in the NYPD towards the end of my career, I was moved into a unit after I got injured to teach that Right to Know Act. And that Right to Know Act is actually generating more lawsuits than even forced complaints, because the Right to Know Act is exactly what Sean is doing. He's asking for basic information. And because of the press attached to this, the supervisors and superintendent have been cautioned. However, basic information, right to know, that's public information, they're allowed to communicate, and they're not doing that. The superintendent, I will give him credit. He's respectful. He's following the script. I don't like the script. I think it should come from his own, professionalism. But I don't like the sergeant's body language. I don't like the aggressive stance, even police presence. On the street, we're not showing up like that unless we're showing up to a shooting or we're taking proactive measures. I have a lieutenant who's on the Finest Unfiltered podcast, Lieutenant Dim. You know him. He's a friend of this podcast. And he talks about, I worked with him in the Bronx. He talks about corruption, complaints, and force. And I'd love to bring him on to talk about this case with Mr. Brooks, because we talk about the level of professionalism. Violence begets violence. Intrusive policing is not pretty. But what's ugly about this video is there was nothing intrusive about Mr. Brooks. His basic inalienable rights were violated from A through Z, even upon death. Even if he fought, let's say, I said this on your last podcast, I've had people spit at me. Let's say he spit. Let's say he was resisting.
Or said words that were really bad.
Yeah,
those do not justify murder. And you know what? Again, all I wanted to try to bring out here is that these guys are they have constraints on what they can and can't say because of pending litigation. So I know that if maybe they were caught on off-job time in a bar somewhere or at a restaurant or out socializing, and someone said, hey, well, how do you feel about what happened? They may give their opinion because they're not on duty. They could get in trouble for doing it. But I want to say this, there's nothing wrong with, as we saw the state trooper say, I do not condone that type of behavior. Any good officer hates bad officer.
But also, let's go back. I have to go back to the state trooper. Real quick, DutyRon, before I forget, that state trooper asked him who he was. These individuals are not even asking who Sean is.
But he's been there for a long time. They know who he is. And that reason that the reason the superintendent, let's be honest, the reason the superintendent came out is he's been there over 30 minutes. And I just pointed out, he had a female sergeant.
No, I know that, but I'm talking about procedurally.
They knew. He gave his name right out of the gate. Run the world. Thank you for the $50. She says, you're absolutely correct. This story needs to be told. Thank you for having the courage to be stand-up human being and tell the world. I wish more people were listening. I do too. Look, it's not going to discourage me, because at the end of the day, I don't care if 50 people are here or 100 or 2 people. This is a story that needs to be shared, needs to be rewatched. And I know that we'll get replay viewers on this. But right now, this is not, again, the people who run YouTube and which control the algorithm feel that this is not worthy of opening up to their complete viewing audience, and that's fine. So let's play the rest of this, because these guys just really give him a whole bunch of nothing. It's just a bunch of lip service. They're just trying to get him to leave and shut up and stop talking about it, and he goes on to question all the employees as they're walking in, other COs, and I want you guys to see this.
We have policies for when someone comes and does a videotaping, and it can't be happening. I'm trying to make it clear to you. That has to have permission from the superintendent. That's what I'm trying to do.
Right. Either way, I am engaged. I'm engaged. All I'm saying, Superintendent, is I'm engaged in a statutory and constitution protected activity. The law is clear. I've read the law. I've consulted with the law, my attorneys. Again, the law is meant to be able to hold public servants like yourself accountable, and I'm not in a restricted area.
He doesn't even seem like he's listening to him. He's just turning the other way, like, I want you to just get the hell out of here. Look at these pizza boxes.
Look at the pizza boxes. Look at the frat house.
1, 2, 3 pizza boxes stacked up. They're eating good. Yeah.
Area. This is not for a criminal trespass statute, which I'll explain to them, is it has to be enclosed and designed in a manner to exclude intruders. I'm complying with all laws. Whether I'm complying with your policy,
We have to read. They'll come, they'll talk to you.
All right. I mean, right. All right. Well, appreciate you coming out. I wish you guys would answer some questions. You sure you don't want to sign the petition?
I got you.
calling for their indictments.
I can't comment. I
Can't
can't
do
say
that.
nothing. There's nothing I can do.
So if I wanted to do a FOIL request, last question before you leave, a FOIL request for some documents here, can I submit that here to this facility?
So you can send it into our FOIL officer, which is our inmate records coordinator for records that you'd like.
And that they're stationed here?
Yeah, and in some cases, it might have to get sent out to central office where we might get advised that we have to do that. But yes, the inmate records coordinator here, if you want FOIL items, you can send.
I can send an email over to them. Okay, perfect. All right. I'll wait for state police. You too. It should be pretty easy for them to condemn the heinous, brutal.
I want to point out this comment with the bacon. That's cute, Douglas. Thank you for supporting police above the laws. These are not police. These are peace officers. Okay, correction officers in the state of New York are not police officers. They're peace officers, and they have command and authority behind the wall inside that correctional facility, and that they're not police. So people always mistake these correctional officers
Exactly.
as police officers. They're not out making summary arrests on the street. They're not going and picking up local drug dealers. They are the ones who are, we would call it, we would take the bad people off the street or arrest criminals, and then they would be now watching them and basically watching them 24/7.
Right.
So it's a whole different ball game. But Douglas, thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting.
And DutyRon, I remember you used to go to Mohawk Correctional. You used to go to this facility, and I don't remember you standing, excuse my mouth, like a jagaloon, standing all mean and all nasty in the big gloves. What were the big tactical gloves for? This was not a non-hostile, and that's what makes them even look more like guilty or criminal. They're coming out aggressive to free speech, to the First Amendment. What are they hiding? In Mohawk and Marcy Correctional, those pizza boxes were reflecting a frat culture. There's more going on than even just Mr. Brooks.
You should see the attitude of this female
Look at
sergeant.
this.
Look, you got to see this. I'm going to start this.
Go for it.
All right, so this is it.
Hey, ma'am, how are you?
Ma'am, how are you?
I'm sorry, ma'am.
You cannot come in here with a cell phone.
He's recording her with a cell phone, by the way.
Can't come inside with a cell phone. I'm not in the restricted area. This door's locked, right? I'm sorry? My name? What's your name, ma'am?
Your name first, please.
Oh, I know. I like to know who I'm talking to when it comes to public servants. Right. No, the difference is
Her answer to him was, so do I.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
she refused to give him her name, which
And she couldn't be bothered, which is a violation and Right to Know Act. That's a suspension. Next.
correct. Now he knows his stuff. So here, listen to this.
I have a right not to give you my name. You don't. I'm just asking for your name, ma'am.
Wow.
Jay Thompson. Are you a supervisor? A sergeant? You too, ma'am.
Have a good day.
Just wanted to show you the welcome he got, and he
I
got
hate that.
welcome from these guys. That's another sergeant. There's another sergeant, and now the superintendent. And I'll pick it back up at 1657 where we stopped.
The heinous, brutal murder, merciless murder of Robert Brooks while his hands were cuffed behind his back. Should be easy for them. They should be, all of the correctional officers throughout the whole entire state should be calling for these officers to be charged, but they're not. Why? Because they don't care. They don't care. They allow it to happen. Hey, officer, would you like to sign a petition calling for the correctional officers to be charged in the murder of Robert Brooks? Do you condemn that? Do you condemn those actions, those criminal actions? One condemnation from any of the correctional officers here. No. Hey, sir, would you sign a petition calling for the arrest of the officers who murdered Robert Brooks in Marcy Correctional Facility? Do you condemn those criminal actions? Very simple questions. They can't answer them. Hello, officer. Would you like to sign a petition calling for the arrest of the correctional officers who murdered Robert Brooks? Do you condemn those actions?
At least he said no.
I will ask every single person that walks into this lobby.
I just want to ask, are you refusing to leave? Are you refusing to leave our
Now you see the body language here.
Yes.
Now he's pissed off. He's aggravated. And he threatens him to call the state police. And by the way, folks watching, the state police never show up because the state police know from Marcy and Mohawk are close to each other, 10, 15-minute ride. the state police are like, don't bother us with this. We came to Marcy, and we know that we can't arrest them for recording. The Right to Record Act. You know, this is a New York State law, and all they have to do is open up their books and look at the Right to Record Act. The Long Island Audit knows his First Amendment. He knows that the Right to Monitor Act is in existence. It's 79P in the state of New York, public in the laws. It was after 2020, after George Floyd, in the wake of George Floyd. And now he comes out here. This guy is pissed.
By the way,
Go ahead.
By the way, so your viewers know, New York State followed NYPD and New York City and the Right to Know Act, because that was passed in 2018 by the City Council, New York City Council. Then I would participate in the training of police officers in the housing developments for the Right to Know Act. And for those of you wondering, what does that involve? It involves that if I show up to your home and you want to know who I am, aside from my shield and name, I give you a business card with my command, my shield, and my name. And it went so well in the community for the most part, there's always something, right? But it was such a positive response to dialogue and communication that now New York State enacted it, and now they're a little bit delayed in training, in my opinion.
The Right to Know and the Right to Monitor Act, two separate acts, but 79P is the right to monitor, and that gives you the right to anybody to film law enforcement, corrections, any public servant that is being paid by the state or being paid by a municipality. You have the right to record them, and they can't tell you not to, as long as you're in a public area.
Yes.
This lobby is a public lobby. It is not locked down, and he specifically points that out several times to them. When you go beyond this door where this lock is and where it enters the facility, that would be, he'd be placed under arrest for criminal trespass. But here in this lobby, anybody can come walking in. It's open. The door is not secured and locked. And he states that many times. The superintendent now is pissed off.
Well, I'm just engaging, like I told you, in that New York State Right to Monitor.
To depart the area, reporting and yourself to leave the grounds.
Okay, like I said, Superintendent.
Are you going to leave? Or?
I understand what you're asking me.
No,
I have an obligation to stand up for my constitutional and statutory rights.
You're not going to leave.
I have an obligation to stand up for my constitutional and statutory rights, Superintendent.
By you staying here and not leaving, that you're refusing to leave the grounds of the facility. You're inside of our facility by being.
This is a public lobby. It's open to the public.
I'm just making it clear that you understand.
Can I just make one thing clear?
He's not making it clear.
Yeah.
The superintendent is wrong. It is a public lobby, and if he looked up the law and looked up the rules, he would see that there's no grounds or authority for arrest. I also watched a video from Sean from in the past, because I looked at some of his interactions with correctional officers in the state. Public sidewalk, and a sergeant came out to him. This is a public easement where there's a road where it's not on the correction property. The sergeant told him he couldn't stand on the sidewalk, and that he was going to call the state police to have him arrested. He called the state police, and they basically patted him on the back and said, carry on.
Right. It's a public area, and he's not blocking traffic. It's not discon. He's not interrupting.
Just goes to show you how undereducated these guys are as it pertains to New York State law. They're New York State employees, but they don't have a clue about
They
New
don't
York
have training, proper training.
Is this secured in a way designed to exclude intruders?
I'm telling you that if you're refusing to leave, you're still standing here, which means to me that you're refusing to leave. I'm giving you direction to depart the area and leave the facility grounds.
Respectfully, Superintendent, you don't have the authority.
Okay, that's fine. I just want to make it clear.
Okay.
All right.
You don't have the authority to do that, sir.
Okay.
I'm engaged in a statutory protected activity.
Okay, just
It's not personal. Is there a beatdown squad here, sir?
It's nothing personal. Is there a beatdown squad here?
Yeah.
And the reason I like what he's doing here is because it is pertaining to Robert Brooks, the murder of Robert Brooks. He's not here harassing these people. He's asking questions. And when push comes to shove, he asks how he can go about getting a FOIA request. And they give him information about the FOIA request. So he's showing and proving that he has business to conduct by being there, not just by recording people and maybe in some people's vision harassing these employees. He's not. These are public employees. These are people who are hired by the New York State, and he has the right to ask these questions. Now, I want to say this. the next thing that he goes to here is that he talks about that they said they're going to threaten him with police activity, but he also goes from here to the Onondaga County District Attorney's office. He goes to Mr. Fitzpatrick, and they blow him off. He says he doesn't get any answers. He doesn't get anything. He didn't film inside there, but he said he was blown off by them. And then he went out to a location. The location is publicly available. If you look up Anthony Farina, you look up his name, it gives public information. He didn't do anything. He was out on the street. He wasn't on the guy's personal property, but he was parked in his car, in a rental car, outside on the street. And former correctional officer, the one who was kicking Robert Brooks in the groin, in the stomach, in the chest, comes with his adult son and gets in his face. He's in his side mirror, side window of his car. Sean is sitting in his car. He decides to pick his phone up and start recording when they're coming at him, because he says, holy shit, this is Farina, the guy who was part of those 4 or 5 that were beating Robert Brooks to death. And he starts recording, and that's what we're going to see next.
You don't want to answer that?
All right, fellow patriots. At this point in the audit, I thought state police would arrive and unlawfully arrest me, so I decided to go live. If you'd like to watch that live stream, I will leave a link in the description below. After I ended the live stream, I went to the Onondaga County District Attorney William Fitzpatrick's office. He was assigned as special prosecutor on the case because the New York State Attorney General's office recused themselves. My questions about the lack of arrest of these murders were met with no comment. I'll leave the public contact info for the District Attorney's office in the description if you'd like to peacefully exercise your First Amendment right. Frustrated with the lack of accountability, I decided to conduct an investigation into the officers individually. One of the officers that stood out to me from the video was Anthony Farina. Anthony was an active participant in the murder of...
Again, remember this. This is from the far side of the room. That sergeant right here in the white is leaning back and getting away to give him leeway to kick and brutalize. He's got the gloves on. Remember, Robert Brooks bit him when he was stuffing something down his throat to try to gag him. Not only was this man's hands behind his back, hogtied, basically, this guy, Anthony Farina, went on to stuff something in his mouth to restrict his breathing. And he bit him. He bit him rightfully so. That was his only form of defense. He was trying to not be gagged and choked, or his airway being blocked, because he was probably gasping for air. This is the man where Sean from Long Island Order goes and kind of looks at his house and or tries to look at the area where this guy lives. And unbeknownst to Sean, 2 houses down is a parked marked state trooper vehicle. State troopers sometimes can take their the vehicles home, and you know, a take-home car. And some of them in special assignments are able to do it legally. I glean that that's probably the case here. I don't think it was any state trooper watching or providing security for Perp Farina. But let's watch this. This is unbelievable. And I got to slow this down because his son goes on to say, my dad didn't kill Robert Brooks. No, he didn't. It happened to him at Mohawk. And we're going to listen to that. We'll break it down.
Robert Brooks. This is him here kicking Robert Brooks in the chest while he is held down and handcuffed behind his back. This is him punching Robert Brooks in the back several times. And this is Anthony Farina smiling while a man is being brutally tortured, beaten, and murdered. Anthony Farina was never fired. He resigned, but not because of the shame of what he did. He resigned so that way, no matter what criminal charges he faces in the future, he will be able to keep his pension.
Isn't that disgusting? He resigned to collect his state pension, because I'm sure he had over 30 years. I watched the video several times, and I counted his French fries. He had, I think, 25 years. Each one of those are 5 years. Amazing, Ant. So he had 5 of them. This is the list. This is the complete list of the initial officers. I think a total of 18, including the nurse, and an extra nurse as well was added onto the list. But this is going to be shocking. I'm going to slow this down because I want you guys to see this and not miss what is being said here.
DutyRon, before you show that video, stop a minute.
Yep.
You said the suspension, he resigned. I would love to do an episode. We'll focus on this exact sentence why are agencies, NYPD, New York State, allowing members to resign to keep their pension when they are committing felonious acts? And you know, I have a story, I'll tell your
Oh,
members
yeah.
down the road,
You
but
do.
this is the problem with the culture. This
Chief
is the
Madry.
problem.
Chief
Yes.
Madry, right?
Well, you said it. I didn't bring other shows into it, but we'll do an episode for
I-
your members.
Eric was in the chat. I don't know if you
Eric
summoned
Dim, I think I
here.
saw something come
Yeah,
up.
I don't know if you summoned him to come, but he came into the chat, which is fine. It doesn't matter if you did or not. We'll do a show with him soon.
Go on.
All right, here we go.
Taxpayer money. He was also sued in 2022 for brutally beating a man who said
We covered this. He beat
Mhm.
the bloody piss out of this guy.
Mhm.
And we all know all of these guys in this beatdown squad, these murderers that are on video beating and murdering Robert Brooks. It's not their first go around.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. I've received emails from these former supervisors, a lieutenant. I'm not going to dox the guy, but a former lieutenant who was at Mid-State Correctional for a long time and was part of a beatdown squad and named in lawsuits with our good friend Ricardo Moore that came on with us. They had the audacity to email me and start talking about Robert Brooks and all this craziness. So I am also subject to these morons coming and trying to justify this very action that we are watching and are mortified. Anybody who is a good human being is mortified, but moreover, somebody like myself and yourself and Eric and Ed that did the job with respect and dignity are disgusted by these people. And I hope that I don't get any more emails from these scumbags, but they're watching the show and they're not happy that we're talking about it. And I got one message to them: go fuck yourself.
Oh,
All pieces of shit.
oh, hell no. Okay.
That's oh hell yeah. Pardon my French.
Pardon my French, but you're an asshole.
Thank you.
Farina was part of the quote beatdown squad. Since I was in the area, I decided to investigate myself and expose this uncharged, dangerous murderer, something that mainstream media should be doing. But
All right, so this is Farina and
Yes.
his son.
He lost weight.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Farina here,
Mhm.
right up at his window,
Wow.
and his adult son. He's got to be in his early 20s. And I slowed this down so you could hear what these two say, and it's despicable.
doesn't care to. He is a who said Farina was part of the quote beatdown squad. Since I was in the area, I decided to investigate myself and expose this uncharged, dangerous murderer, something that mainstream media should be doing, but doesn't care to. He is a danger to the community. So I decided to go to his community to investigate. While I was parked on a public street, Anthony Farina and what I assumed to be his adult son came out to confront me parked on their block. I then began recording.
How you guys doing? Hey, how are you? No, I'm not lost. I'm conducting an investigation.
They asked him if he was lost.
Yeah. Old school.
I got some complaints. Are you Anthony Farina?
Yeah.
Are you the correctional officer, Anthony Farina?
Yeah.
Their block. I then
I'm conducting an investigation. I got some complaints. Are you Anthony Farina?
Yeah.
Are you the correctional officer, Anthony Farina?
Yeah.
So do you have any comment? I'm an independent journalist. My name is Sean. Do you have any comment on the brutal murder of Robert Brooks?
You had a problem?
How are you free?
You have a problem?
This is the son. You got a problem?
Mm.
Are you going to beat me like he beat Robert Brooks?
Get out of here.
He said, just get out of here.
I'm on public street. I'm just, your dad just killed somebody on camera. Brutally
No, he didn't. Did you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
murdered him.
No, he didn't.
It's on camera. He stomped him out.
It happened to him in Mohawk.
Mohawk.
Does everybody? I slowed this down so you could hear it because I'll play it full speed. But this is exactly what the kid said. It did. No, he didn't. My dad didn't murder him. I'm going to put it full regular speed so you guys could hear it. And he says it happened to Robert Brooks at Mohawk. Ed Wallace is here with us. Hi, Ed.
Farina?
Yeah.
So do you have any comment? I'm an independent journalist. My name is Sean. Do you have any comment on the brutal murder of Robert Brooks?
You got a problem?
How are you free?
You have a problem?
Are you going to beat me like he beat Robert Brooks?
Get out of here.
I'm on public street. I'm just, you know, your dad just killed somebody on camera, brutally murdered him. It's on camera. He stomped him out. He stomped him out.
It happened to him in Mohawk.
Yeah, that was the plan, but the plan went to shit.
Right.
You know, that's what they were going to say. This happened to him in Mohawk, and he obviously told his son that plan.
Yeah, but it's just funny, Ed, that everybody and their mother has seen this video, and that plan is probably a plan that worked many times in the past. Saying that inmates fall downstairs, they fell in the shower, they beat themselves up, they beat each other up, and in this instance, they can't go that route. But look, the son it's almost like he's used to saying that. It didn't. He got beat up by other inmates.
Problem?
How are you free?
You have a problem?
Are you going to beat me like he beat Robert Brooks?
Get out of here.
I'm on public street. I'm just, you know, your dad just killed somebody on camera, brutally murdered him. It's on camera. He stomped him out. He stomped him out. It's on camera.
Very good question. Vanessa says, how many more victims of these thugs are out there? How many more have they killed or they have maimed or hurt to the point where they're permanently disabled? I bet you it's a lot. I bet you it's a lot. Good to see you, Jeff. Hey, hi, Ed. Any idea on how we can attack this issue? We're doing it right now, Jeff.
Have you not seen the video? The Attorney General released the video. Mr. Farina, are you part of the beatdown squad at Marcy? Were you part of the beatdown squad? Junior, you want to be part of it too, don't you?
Do it, bro.
You want to be part of the beatdown squad, don't you, Junior? Come on, man. You're not intimidating anybody. Your dad had to beat a man while he was handcuffed. I'm not. Remember that. Remember that. He had to beat a man with his hands cuffed behind his back.
So let's address this comment here. I think his guy's name is Robert. Where is it? The son is going to get abused now. You know, I don't know where this comment's going. I'm just speculating, but maybe abused by his dad for talking to him. Maybe going to get abused from people in the neighborhood. I don't know the exact meaning behind this comment, but the son didn't have to say one word.
Right.
If the father was to do something right, he would have told his son, stay home in the house, and I will go because my own actions is what fucked this family up, not yours, son. So you are an innocent bystander as far as it pertains to the murder of Robert Brooks. But the bottom line is he opted to go, hey, come on out with me, because I think that Anthony Farina thought that was an undercover cop. I thought that he probably thought he was somebody that was coming to lock him up, and he might have gotten scared in that respect. Oh, I'll bring my kid. They won't take me with my son. But who knows what they were thinking? But the bottom line is here, all that kid should have done is stayed in the house, and if he did have to come out with him, he should have just shut his mouth and not said a word. And
Well, I'll go a step further. Yeah,
Go ahead.
ladies first.
I have to hop off, otherwise I wouldn't interrupt. Good to see you. Ed, thank you. I'm going to post change, and you can take over for me. So I just want to let you know the condition of what's going on. We're having a healthy, fiery conversation to get justice for Mr. Robert Brooks. And I appreciate everyone commenting, everyone putting the word out there. People texting me who just came on live. This is how we're going to get justice. We all have to speak up for him because he can no longer speak. DutyRon, to your point, thank you for showing this video. I hadn't seen it until now, but any good human person is going to handle their fight alone. He should have never involved his son, exactly like you said. There seems to be, if you want to play therapist, that there's some trickling down to the son of his job into his home, which unfortunately happens a lot where the job is brought home. But his son should have never been involved, because what if this was a malicious, dangerous person? He just put his family in danger. And how about this? Mr. Farina should have never come out. If he was concerned about anything, he could have called the police for protection, and he could have called his union representation. This goes to show that Mr. Farina is not scared of anyone. He puts fear in people, and he did that to Mr. Robert Brooks.
Bing, 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 bing. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Because that's exactly what I was going to say. He should have never came out of his house. He shouldn't. If he had a problem, pick up the phone, call 911.
He comes back out again after this. I know you got to go because you got post change. So I'm going to let you run. I love you. And
Love you all. Good seeing you. Ed Wallace, detective, first grade. I'll see you soon. Sending positive thoughts and prayers. And everyone, thank you for your support. Got to get a manicure. Bye.
Love you. Bye. She's going to get a mani-pedi. Ed, I got to finish it. Well, let's finish it with us on here. So he has the exchange. You see the family going into their home, inside their house. And Sean says something interesting here. He says something I think that everybody would glean from this. The wife or the woman who came out, I don't know who that is because I don't know the family, and the son are innocent bystanders here. They weren't inside Marcy Correctional beating Robert Brooks to death. The father was. So let's listen to the rest of this, because he now gets checked by what Sean believes is one of Anthony Farina's friends, comes by and starts taking pictures and videos of his car and his license plate.
You should not be free. You should be in prison. So this is the residence of Anthony Farina, the former correctional officer who resigned after brutally murdering Robert Brooks. He was one of the main aggressors, and then his son comes out while I'm conducting an investigation to threaten me. Makes no sense. Makes zero sense.
Farina's out again.
There he is right there. Don't hurt me. I'm not hurting you. Don't hurt me. I'm not armed. Do not kill me. I know you're a murderer. I have a family. I don't want to die. I just want to talk to you. I want to ask you questions. What you did to Robert Brooks, that was called part of being George Floyding people, right? Is that what you guys refer to it internally? George Floyding people? Anthony, I want to talk to you. The irony that the correctional officer who murdered a man lives a few doors down from New York State Police. The man, a murderer, is living in this house, and he lives a few doors down from the New York State Police. Absolutely insane. I was parked right down the street right here, ladies and gentlemen. And again, I didn't know if this was his house for sure. I was waiting to see if I saw him walk out. You know, this is probably one of my most dangerous audits yet. I'm not going to tell you where I am or the street name or anything like that. I'm not going to dox the murderer because he does have a family that is innocent in all of this. I don't know about his son. His son seems to want to resort to violence for people peacefully exercising their First Amendment right. Yes, I got the thin blue line everywhere. He has a plate cover on his vehicle. Can I get your name and badge number, sir? Can I get your name and badge number? Your name and badge number? Your name and badge number, sir? You're not a cop? Oh, I thought you were because you had the license plate covers on there. I normally see that with cops. No, I'm protesting right now. The man in that house killed somebody on camera. Brutally murdered somebody. Well, I can't hear you, ma'am. You got to speak up. I can't hear you. Are you okay with people brutally murdering people? Wow. Absolutely insane. He called all of his buddies to come out here. There was another car that was taking pictures of my vehicle. That's fine. It's a rental. I'm not worried about it.
So that's the gist of it there, Ed. Sean went to Mohawk Correctional and talked to the superintendent. He got nowhere. He went to the Onondaga County District Attorney's Office, got nowhere. And we're 54 days since Robert Brooks was beaten and murdered. No updated autopsy, Ed. no updates from any governmental officials. These people here on screen that we see, Anthony Farina and 18 other people, more than 18 other people who were in the vicinity of when Mr. Brooks was murdered, are free and stand no charges. But the people that were inside that room officially beating and murdering Robert Brooks are not charged. 54 days. This is February 1st, 2025. Ed, your thoughts?
Well, I don't know why the autopsy has to be updated. They already made their cause and manner determination. Okay.
And that was?
That was homicide. Okay. And then the medical aspects of it, asphyxia and so forth and so on. They know all the injuries. They know everything here. I mean, what are we talking about? There's no reason for this delay. Okay, they got the videotape. The pathologist should have looked at that videotape as well when they were performing during the autopsy, the postmortem.
Yeah.
Okay? There's no mystery here.
Death at the hands of another spells homicide, correct?
Homicide. That is correct. That is the medical legal definition of homicide. So just because they didn't say homicide, but they put the definition in, they're playing games. Okay, it's a game.
It's so frustrating. Let's take some questions from the audience. Hashtag Ed, hashtag DutyRon. Aunt had to leave because she's getting her nails done. She's got something to go to tonight. But yeah, Robert says it well. This is a horror film storyline. Listen, if I told this story at a function and nobody heard of it, everybody has heard of this. But if nobody had heard of this murder and I told this story, I don't think many people would believe it. It's just an unbelievable travesty of justice, because justice delayed, Ed, you said it, is justice denied, right?
That's correct.
We're outraged by it. So Judith is saying New York is a corrupt state. I don't like to just blanket call like the whole state, but there are certain areas where things are done correctly. Ed, we talked about this before you came on with us. If this happened in the NYPD and this was on body cam footage of a bunch of NYPD cops beating someone to death, can you imagine 54 days out there would be no arrests?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
So
Okay.
it's insanity.
Governor Hochul had the state legislature pass 3 new laws because of this, but none of it really deals with the problem.
Yeah. She went and visited this facility, Ed. She went several days after Robert Brooks' murder was released on December 27th. Letitia James made a big press conference, and 2 or 3 days later, the governor went there and walked into Marcy Correctional. She took out the superintendent and put a new one in. But it's just like anything else in politics. It's all smoke and mirrors. And now you have the Brooks family and his extended family sitting there wondering what in the F is going on. Why? Why are these people not locked up? So if you're mad as hell and do not want to take it anymore, and this has really got you irked, let us know in the chat by saying yes, just a simple yes. If you feel that this is reasonable to wait this time, because people emailed me, they have to do this right, DutyRon. They need to wait. I've got many emails that said, give them a break. They have to do a thorough investigation. Ed, I say, what more do you need? You got a ground ball. This is a ground ball murder.
And we've said this time and time again, and we've seen it in numerous other cases. Just based on the video alone, they could have arrested for assault. Okay. And then they could have gone into the grand jury with the homicide aspects of it at a later date and updated the charges. Okay. So I don't understand that. I don't understand that. So, I know it's a hot button political issue here in New York. But it's, we're in search of the truth, and justice is supposed to be blind.
Right.
Nobody should be putting their thumb on the scale of justice.
100%. And look here, one of our friends from the UK says no reports on this in the UK. There's no reports on it in the US. nightly news and everything, there's not even a mention of this. So I just say this, listen, we use common sense in law enforcement, and you have something like this. We've done many cases where they're canvassing for video and still pictures and so forth from businesses. This is not the case here. You have 4 correction officers that had their body cameras in standby mode. Unbeknownst to them, they were recording. They didn't know they were being recorded, because if they knew they were being recorded, they would have did this somewhere else where there was no recordings. So I have spoke with so many current and prior inmates at Marcy and Midstate and Mohawk, and they told me that the correction officers know the exact areas where to do the beating, where to do the rough housing, where to give a tune-up, as they call it, to these guys outside the shower area, inside the bathrooms, where you can't have cameras. And these correction officers, not saying all of them, and I want to put the statement out there that not all are bad and corrupt like this and do these things, but these are identified on video, and it makes my blood boil that I'm 54 days here sitting and waiting. We're waiting for justice, and it's not happening. And it doesn't look like anytime soon it's going to happen. And that's the sickening part of this.
Well, there's no statutes of limitation for murder.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true. But you got a family in agony that's already buried their loved one and are now waiting for justice to be served. That these people who did this heinous, horrific murder, they brutalized this guy, brutalized him. And YouTube and the powers that be and the media, they just don't want it. They don't want it out there because it doesn't fit their narrative. It's not nice. So why is it okay for us to report on school shootings and plane crashes and things of that nature? And that's okay. But something like this that's happening on our officials the correction officers are there to make sure inmates are safe and everybody else is safe, themselves included. And they failed. They failed big time. Jeep Girl's in the building. Hi, Jeep Girl.
Hope you're feeling well. Yeah, Jeep Girl. In the information that was released from the medical examiner's office here, or the coroner's office, it says in there the definition of homicide, death at the hands of another, but it doesn't say homicide. Again, this is just a word game that the medical examiner is playing. Okay, because when it comes to the manners of death, homicide, suicide, accidental, and CUPI, causes undetermined pending investigation. Right. They didn't say that in there. They gave the definition of homicide without actually putting the word homicide there. Okay. Yeah. So, and again, that's a medical legal term. That is not the legal term we use in our courts. We use murder, right, or manslaughter. Okay. Yeah. All right. So it's just a game, and I don't understand why they're playing this game. All right, because this is a licensed medical professional doing these autopsy, and then if it's a coroner, I forgot is it a coroner system here, or was it a medical examiner system? Because upstate New York has a lot of coroners.
Yeah, this I believe it was done by the Oneida County coroner. So I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it was.
So the coroner is an elected official in New York,
right,
okay, and doesn't have to have any medical background. But they have to hire a forensic pathologist. Let me back it up. They have to hire a pathologist. It doesn't have to be a forensic pathologist. Right. They could use a university pathologist. They could use a hospital pathologist who doesn't necessarily have to be a forensic pathologist. Okay. But the forensic pathologist is a licensed medical professional, and they're the ones that are going to put their name on this report. They hand it over to the coroner, and then the coroner makes the final determination. An elected official that doesn't have to be a licensed medical professional.
Yeah. Well, listen, I want to just say thank you to all of the replay viewers, the moderators, the super chatters, the folks who send cups of coffee and support this community. Again, it was tough for me to do these live streams during the week. I was kind of fatigued this week, so I was going to sleep at 8 o'clock at night, which is unbelievable for me, 8:30. But Run the World, thank you. Jeff, thank you, 2 times 2. I just emailed you, Governor. Yes, pissed off. Yeah, Jeff is in Wyoming. He's mad as hell, and he doesn't want to take it anymore, and I don't blame him. Thank you to everybody who is supporting. I know that these aren't some of this is a tough topic to talk about, but we're not going to stop until the justice is served here. And I know it doesn't gain a huge crowd, and YouTube always demonetizes it. So anything that you can do that supports us by sharing, by liking. There's also the super thanks afterwards, like people can leave super chats when they watch the replay. So thank you to those who leave super chats. They call them super thanks, Ed. At the end in the comments, people can do a super chat. So that's really nice of everybody to do that. Ed, you had something that you wanted to say?
Yeah, that's why I love forensics so much, right? Because we don't get involved in the politics of any of this. We don't care per se who the victim is, what their status in life is, whether they're a good person or a bad person, what their race, ethnicity, creed, whatever. We don't give a crap about any of that. We are strictly there for the science, and the science will dictate how I conduct my investigation, and I let the chips fall where they may. I've been involved in numerous officer-involved shootings. I've been involved in numerous death in police custody investigations. Okay, some are good, some are bad. Okay, and without bias or prejudice, okay, or favor, I call it as I see it. Let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, 100%. Ed. I couldn't have said it any better. And this is an investigative journalist, J.B. Nicholas. He, again, when you look at this video and you try to play it, you get the warning from YouTube. This is what we get. And then when we did our first video, the following content may contain graphic or violent imagery. Viewer discretion is advised. And you have to be signed in when you have to click I wish to proceed to watch this. But I'm going to link his video here, JB. This is a video, got 428 views. He did this when this case was fresh, when this just happened. And look, it says 2 weeks ago, but I'll look at the date that this was uploaded. December 9th, January 12th. All right, so he uploaded this January 12th, a little time later. But this video gets knocked down in the water. And why? He's walking and talking. He's an investigative journalist from up in that area. He's a former inmate. He was in the New York State Department of Corrections, spent some time, but he knows the system. And this video, I encourage everyone to go look at it and watch Long Island Audit's video. Man, he goes over some of the stuff. Remember, I sent this to you, Ed. This was the sergeant taking whatever was in Mr. Brooks's mouth after he was unresponsive. And you said that you believe that this was part of a gauze or something stuffed in there, Ed?
Yes.
Yeah.
Some kind of cloth or gauze.
It was what Anthony Farina was trying to stuff in his mouth, and he got bit. So good stuff like this. I get emails from him almost every day from his reporting about this case. So he's not letting up. But the problem is that it gets suppressed. So really not a lot of people see it. So thank you to everyone who's here. Ed and I appreciate you. We hope you all have a great weekend. Look for a members only live. For those of you who are channel members, we'll do a members only live tomorrow, sometime during the day. Dave Rader from EquiSearch is going to join me, and we're going to talk about Sebastian Rogers. So I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Ed, I appreciate you being here. We send strength, prayers, and positive vibes to the Brooks family and everyone who is affected. That includes all of us by this brutal murder of Robert Brooks. And December 9th, 2024, we won't forget. We will never forget what happened and what we watched on body cam footage. So on behalf of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace, we wish you guys a good day. Thank you, Ed, for joining in. I know I didn't tell you we were doing this. I figured you were busy, and Amazing Ant was ready to go. So I will talk to you soon. Peace and love, guys.